1966, America witnessed a shocking tragedy that would forever change how we think about the mind, mental health, and violence. This story centers on Charles Whitman, a man who appeared to have everything going for him: a promising future, a loving family, and a stable career. But in the background, he was grappling with something dark and dangerous, a force he couldn't understand or control. On August 1st, 1966, Whitman climbed the tower at the University of Texas, armed and determined, taking aim at innocent people below. His actions left 14 dead and 31 others wounded in what would be known as one of the first mass shootings in modern American history. But what led to this? Why did a man with seemingly everything to lose commit such horrific acts? Charles Whitman was born in 1941 and raised in a strict household. His father was known to be a stern, authoritative man, and young Charles was often pushed to excel academically and personally. As he grew up, he developed a strong sense of discipline and responsibility. He excelled in school and was known for his sharp intellect and good grades. By the time he reached adulthood, Whitman had joined the Marines, where he demonstrated exceptional skill in marksmanship. Yet, despite his accomplishments, a different side of Charles began to emerge, a side that others rarely saw. He struggled with anger and sometimes experienced bouts of frustration that he couldn't explain. But as a young man in the 1950s and 60s, seeking help for mental health wasn't as common or acceptable as it is today. After leaving the Marines and enrolling at the University of Texas, Charles attempted to build a stable life. He married a woman named Kathleen, and the couple seemed happy from the outside. But as time passed, he started to suffer from severe headaches. These weren't just mild annoyances, they were debilitating. He'd described the pain as intense, stabbing, and relentless, often accompanied by strange, irrational thoughts that would consume him. Frustrated and scared, Charles visited doctors to try to get to the bottom of his symptoms. He told them about his violent thoughts and the anger that seemed to boil up inside him. In a later letter, he would describe how these feelings left him feeling powerless, as though he were being controlled by something outside of himself. Despite his attempts to seek help, no doctor could pinpoint the cause of his suffering. Some brushed it off as stress, while others suggested it could be migraines or tension headaches. This left Charles Whitman feeling desperate. He was searching for answers, but medical science in the 1960s simply wasn't prepared to address the complexities of mental health combined with physical symptoms. On the evening of July 31st, 1966, Charles Whitman made a decision that would forever mark him as a man of tragedy. That night, he sat down and wrote a suicide note, leaving behind a record of his thoughts and fears. He explained that he didn't understand his own actions and that he was deeply troubled by his violent urges. In his note, he even requested that, upon his death, an autopsy be performed to find out what was wrong with him. Hours later, he went to his mother's home and, in a shocking act, took her life. He then returned to his own house, where he killed his wife as she slept. His note revealed a mix of guilt, remorse, and deep confusion. He loved these women dearly, but he felt compelled by a force he couldn't comprehend. By morning, he had committed 2 murders, but the nightmare was far from over. The following day, Charles prepared for the next phase of his plan. He armed himself with multiple rifles, shotguns, and pistols, along with hundreds of rounds of ammunition. He made his way to the University of Texas and ascended the iconic clock tower. The campus was bustling with students and faculty enjoying the summer day, completely unaware of the danger above them. Once he reached the top, he began firing at anyone who crossed his line of sight. The sound of gunfire echoed across the campus as people ran for cover. Students, professors, and staff found themselves scrambling to escape his aim. Police officers and civilians bravely tried to help the wounded and usher others to safety. For over 90 minutes, Charles Whitman maintained his deadly assault while chaos erupted below. By the time law enforcement managed to reach him and put an end to his rampage, 14 innocent people lay dead and 31 others were injured, many critically. The tragedy shook not only the city of Austin but the entire nation. Following his death, Charles's body was sent for an autopsy, just as he had requested. The findings were both fascinating and tragic. Inside his brain, doctors found a tumor pressing against his amygdala, a part of the brain responsible for controlling emotions, fear, and aggression. This discovery led scientists and psychologists to wonder, could the tumor have driven his violent behavior? Could it have amplified his aggression and clouded his judgment? While no one can say with certainty that the tumor was the sole cause of Charles's actions, it's likely that it played a significant role. It raised profound questions about the link between physical brain abnormalities and behavior. How much control do we truly have over our own minds? And if a physical problem can drive someone to such extremes, how do we prevent similar tragedies in the future? The tragedy of Charles Whitman and the Texas Tower shooting didn't just impact the victims and their families, it led to a shift in how society approached mental health, particularly in relation to violent behavior. The story of Charles Whitman is a grim reminder that sometimes Sometimes the human mind can be as much of a mystery as the world itself. His actions were horrific, and the pain he caused was immeasurable, yet his story serves as a case study in understanding the complex interplay of mental health, brain function, and behavior. In the years since, the tragedy has led to more research on the brain and mental health. Today, the hope is that with better understanding and treatment options, we can prevent individuals from reaching such dark extremes. While the memory of Charles Whitman and his victims will forever be tied to that hot August day in Texas, their story has left an indelible mark on the fields of psychology, medicine, and public safety. If you found this story insightful, please consider subscribing to our channel for more true crime stories that dive deep into the mysteries behind real events. Like, share, and comment to let us know your thoughts on this case. Together, let's keep these stories alive and work towards greater awareness about mental health and safety. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next episode.